Hello Audioholics, welcome back, and a quick note about this video. After CES 2017, Gene and I got together and talked about all the things that I'd seen there. The conversation went late into the night. We'd only scratched the surface, but we felt that the video was long enough that we better cut it up into two chunks to make it just a little bit more digestible. As I mentioned, there's still a lot more to come, so please enjoy this video and stay tuned because there's still a lot to talk about with regards to what we saw at CES 2017 and all the other great audio and video gear that's going to be coming out this year.
What about headphones? I know, people that aren't into audio for their home theaters or whatever. I know the headphone market is exploding again. More and more people are on the go, wireless, and even just conventional headphones. Tell us what you saw that stood out. I know Monoprice is starting to get into headphones as well.
So headphones, I mentioned to you before we started, I think the way speakers were 10 years ago, where we had some brands that were making really good stuff and everything else fell way below it, headphones have been that way for a long time. There have been some really killer headphones that are out there, and then the majority of what's been on the market has just been substandard. And we're finally getting to the golden age of headphones where you're able to get some stuff at a really reasonable price that sounded better than almost anything that's out there. And the company that we all cut our teeth on with cheap HDMI cables, Monoprice. Monoprice is getting into audio in a big way. You saw this at CEDIA with their K-based speakers, the Monolith series amplifiers. Well, now they're doing it with headphones as well. I'm actually wearing a set right now. They're the Triple X, a three driver system, and I'll kind of show them off here in the ear. $50, and these headphones sound amazing for $50. Now let me be clear, and I said this in the Facebook Live video, they've got a little bit of a V response. What that means is that you got a little bit high on the low frequencies, your mid is a little bit recessed, and then in the high frequencies, again, it's a little bit of a bump. What this is a pop music curve. This is for people that want to throw it in and want their music energized. It's not a bad thing. And let me say, if I'm listening at home, if I got my headphones on at home, yeah, I want a nice neutral flat curve because you know what? I've got a low noise floor at home. I'm going to be listening where I'm not going to be rustling around. But when you're out there on the bus, the train, the subway, you're sitting in the cafeteria, you got a lot of background noise, your music's going to need to be hyped up a little bit to drive you in the same way that it would with a low noise floor. So I'm not saying that these are inaccurate by any means. I think that one of the things that amazes me is most of the time you get these sort of bass boosted headphones, and the low frequencies are kind of muddy, kind of tubby, kind of bloated. They don't pay a lot of attention to them. They just crank up the volume. The nice thing about these is the bass is a little bit pumped up, but it's still so tight, so clean. You can really crank them and it's going to get loud, but it's going to get clean and loud. It's not going to get tubby or flabby and loud.
Cool.
And so for 50 bucks, I think they're great.
Yeah, excellent.
And I'll go ahead and show them too. Let's see if I can get the camera going here. They also have kind of a really interesting shape. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that or not, but they're curved on the bottom. One of the first set of Monoprice headphones I had, they were what I would call commodity headphones. They went to some factory in China, said, give us what you're doing with everyone else, make it look cool, ship it to us. And the design was really uncomfortable. It looked cool, but the minute you put it in your ear, it just tore your ear up with these little fins and this sort of like over-the-top industrial design. These are designed to be super comfortable in your ear. Megan, my wife, who complains about headphones endlessly, the little earbuds, she doesn't like them sitting in her ear, she likes the ones over the top. I had her try on a couple other things that I'd gotten, and she's like, yeah, they're okay, they're okay. I put these in her ear, and she said, wow, those are actually really comfortable. So I think she's going to wind up with these headphones. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep them. I think she's going to want these. For $50, I don't see where you can do wrong on them. I would love to put them up against some of the other folks that are out there with the really high-value headphones in that price range, but I think these are going to hold up really well.
Well, and don't ever discount comfort, because I'm telling you, man, trying to live with headphones from day to day, if they start bothering your ears, just forget about the sound quality. But especially the over-the-ear ones, man, they could cause a lot of fatigue on your earlobes or your head. So comfort rates very high. I would say almost as high as sound quality. So the fact that you're saying that these are comfortable and your wife is saying that speaks volumes.
Yep. I'm probably going to do a full review on these, so I won't go too much more into them. But if you haven't seen our Monoprice video yet, you got to check them out. They did have the K-based speakers there. They had everything from cooking gear to 3D printers. In fact, they won a lot of awards to their 3D printers. But don't think they're one of these shops that because they're doing everything, they're kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Every piece of audio equipment they had there was for serious. This is not the cheap fly-by-night stuff that you see on Amazon. They are paying some real attention to their audio space, and they are serious about being known not just for good value, but just flat out good equipment. And so do check out the rest of their line.
And guys, stay tuned. In about a week or two, I'm going to be publishing a K-Base review. We have a speaker review. And then sometime next month, I've got their Monolith 2-channel amplifier that I did bench testing on. And Teo, one of our other reviewers, is doing a 7-channel review. So we're going to be giving you some more Monoprice reviews to show what Marshall's talking about the quality of these products.
The way Monoprice disrupted the cable market, I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing that same thing in a lot of different spaces, speaker spaces, headphone spaces. Again, they're going to come in, and folks that have been able to charge a lot of money for not so great products because there hasn't been any quality competition, Monoprice is going to step in just like they did with the HDMI cables and just blow people away. I'm counting on it.
Right. Okay, well, did you want to talk about anything else with headphones or earphones, or did you want to go into the video stuff that you saw?
So these next headphones I'm going to talk about not as a product, although I'll tell you what the product is. They're the Skybuds, and they're from a company named Alpha, I believe is their full name. Alpha Acoustic, Alpha something. We'll look them up later, but they're the Skybuds. Look up the Skybuds. I'll put it down here, lower third. This is just the case for the headphones, and when I pull them out, I think you'll see the form factor is pretty familiar. So these headphones, they're just this little bud. These little buds, they fit just in the ear and they disappear. They're just a tiny little earwig. Skybuds is not the first folks to do these truly wireless earbuds. They have, I think, had a couple innovations. The first being they've borrowed a lot of technology from hearing aids. And we know that hearing aids, these have to be doctor approved. They're very delicate equipment. They've put a lot of that technology into these. But what I really want to talk about is just the idea of Bluetooth headphones. And I think that there will still be a place for Bluetooth, corded Bluetooth headphones. I got a pair of those as well. The kind where the cord runs behind your back and they have the ear pods still attached with a wire. These truly wireless earbuds, they're going to be the future. Are they there yet? I'll say the Skybuds, honestly, I have reached to them more than any other headphone I have in the past week. And the reason why is that they're so easy and so comfortable and there's nothing to snag. And so I will say I haven't been using them so much for critical listening. If I'm going to sit down, I'm at work, I want to listen to some music on some headphones, I haven't necessarily been reaching for the Skybuds, these little ear pods like that. But if I'm running around the house and I want something playing in my ear, I'm listening to my podcast, I'm making a phone call. The other day somebody called me up. These are essentially the Bluetooth headset, only they work better, they sound better, you can get them in stereo, the battery lasts longer, you get a 4-hour battery life out of these, you slip them into the case keeps them charged over and over again for 24 hours, and I've found that's pretty true. I used them all the way home on the airplane. This is going to be the way that Bluetooth headphones are looking in the future.
Well, especially, and this is especially true now that, you know, companies like Apple have done away with the headphone jack. I'm sure others will follow suit.
Yeah, look, the idea of doing it with the headphone jack is asinine, and there's 100 reasons for it, but it truly is. At the end of the day, though, are you going to want to be able to pick up a $50 pair of Monoprice headphones and plug them into your phone and have amazing sound? Yes. And so the idea of getting rid of a headphone jack and not being able to use great sounding $50 Monoprice headsets is silly. But in terms of Bluetooth headphones, if you're going to go Bluetooth, you're going to have two ways to do it in the future. A $30 pair that's Chinese, commoditized, and there's nothing against Chinese manufacturing, a lot of stuff that's built out there, but these are things that they're constantly cranking off the factory without any design, any real engineering that goes into it. It works, it sounds okay, that's fine. You're going to have those at 30 or 40 bucks, and then if you spend a little bit more money, you're going to be able to get something that works really well, and most importantly, is comfortable, unobtrusive, sits in your ear, battery lasts a long time, there's no wire to get caught on whatever. Even a short wire, I'm putting on my coat, I'm trying to throw on a backpack, I'm at CES and I'm throwing a camera sling over my shoulder, my headphones were constantly getting tugged out, even with a short little piece of wire. These things, they sit in your ear like a hearing aid and they're totally out of the way. So I'm going to reserve, this is the first set that I've heard, the Skybuds is the first set of these style of headphones that I've heard. I'm going to reserve any real feedback until I hear more of these, but this is for real. This form factor is, in 4 years, we're going to look back and we're going to laugh at the time that we were still using Bluetooth headphones with a cord on them.
Well, that sounds awesome, man. I want to see those. I want to get a pair of those myself because I'm always reaching for something wireless without having to sit here and dangle a cord like I'm doing now. So I'll wait for your
Yeah.
feedback on that.
I got one more thing on headphones, and then we'll move on to some video, and that is the 3D scanning of your ear from a company called Snugs UK. And so this is, we're going to see how it works. I ordered a pair. I've wanted custom earphones, and so custom earphones, these are the kind where you have to stick your head at an angle, and they stuff cotton. Your wife had it done, didn't she? Didn't she get some customs done?
Yes.
And so they cram your ear full of cotton, and then they pour a bunch of goo in your ear. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, doesn't sound real appetizing. And so the difference is that with the Snug folks, what they're doing is they're using a 3D scanning. The most overly simplified way of thinking about it, they put a little camera on a stick and they run it around your ear. And I had both ears done. It took maybe 10 minutes, like 5 to 7 minutes per ear probably. It was still less invasive. It's not 100% perfect yet. They've got a new scanner coming out of, I want to say it's one of the Netherlands or some place like that. That's going to do the whole thing in a minute. Basically, they're going to be able to put it in your ear, scoop it around once or twice, less than a minute in each ear, and you're going to walk away with a set of earphones that are molded to the exact shape of your ear, better isolation, better comfort. Everything about them is going to be a perfect customized fit. And this is the part that I'm excited about. Right now, the price is just a little over $200. I want to say it was $220, and that's just for the silicone ear tip shipped to your house. For anybody that's looking for custom earphones, you know that you have to go to an audiologist because they're stuffing your ear and they're pouring goo in your ear. So you have to go to an audiologist. And you might know what it costs, Gene. Do you know what it costs to get an ear impression at an
Oh, I
audiologist?
mean, by the time you do that and you buy the earphones, the musician earplugs, you're looking at over $1,000
Right.
with
And so
a
here you
lot of
got the
time too.
Yes, yeah. So here it scans in like I said, about 15 minutes, shipped to your door in 10 days, and then they'll match them up with pretty much any headphone of consequence that are out there. So if you like Shure's, you like Monoprice, you like Etymotic, they were partnered up with a company called Echobox that was doing some really good sounding stuff, again on the floor, like trying to listen in a bar, trying to listen at a cocktail party, but what I heard sounded really good, and I'm hopefully going to be getting some of their stuff in to take a look at as well. But I've ordered up my custom set. I want to try these out because the whole idea is that you can take a $200 set of tips, throw them on a very nice set of $300 earphones, and still be at half of the price of custom earphones up to this point. That's already exciting. But this is where it gets really exciting to me. Imagine a day, 3-4 years down the road maybe, Snugs UK brings their stuff to the United States. They get enough of these scanners out there so that they're in every big box store. You know the ones I'm talking about. I'll just name names. Imagine being able to walk into Walmart. Imagine being able to walk into Best Buy and having somebody there that's been trained to do this scan. 15 minutes later, you go pick out you want Beats, that's fine. You want AKG, you want Monoprice, you want Echobox, whatever they sell, you pick your headphones, you go get your scan, and you walk out of there with a 3D silicon scanner. You can walk out of there in under an hour with custom earphones at a fraction of what you currently have to pay.
Nice, man. Well, I'll look forward to that day when it happens, Marshall.
Yeah, like I said, I'm supposedly they're going to get some. I've got mine. They've got my scan. I know CES was kind of a mad rush, but hopefully in a few weeks I'll have some firsthand impressions, and we'll see if as excited as I am, I'll tell you if I get disappointed. As excited as I am, I will be equally disappointed if it doesn't turn out this way. But I have high hopes that these are going to be kind of the next revolution in custom audio.
Cool. Well, we're kind of burning a lot of time here on all this headphone stuff and speaker stuff, and I'm sure there's people wondering what's going on with video, with UHD. So what can you tell us in 5 minutes or less on all the new stuff you saw for UHD, whether it's projectors, displays, or even players?
Yeah, I'll tell you in 30 seconds or less. 3D, dead. OLED, the only technology that matters. Projection, still the biggest picture for your money, but it just doesn't get the love that it should be getting. And I say this as somebody as a projection owner. So that's my quick rundown, and I'll certainly go more in depth on those. Let's start first with 3D. Nobody was talking about it. It's done. They'll still continue to produce content for it because they're making the content for the theaters anyway. It doesn't take that much more to master it for the home. But the days of 3D being a selling point are officially over. Flush it, it's done.
Good riddance, because actually we should have a funeral for 3D this year sometime.
I would love that. We should all show up in our old anaglyph glasses, the old red and blue ones, and say a silent prayer for the technology that tried to get crammed down our throats and nobody ever really appreciated it.
Yeah, I won't be missing it, that's for sure.
So UHD 4K and above, there were some 8K sets out there, and OLED was really the big thing. Everybody has an OLED now. I don't know enough about the panels. What I do know is that LG up to this point has been the people, they've got the factories, they've been making their own panels. LG, the television manufacturer, is different than LG, the panel manufacturer. And LG, they're the same company, but they kind of operate separately. So the panels are getting sold to Sony now. As far as we know, LG is selling OLED panels to Sony, and Sony displayed a whole line of OLED televisions. The audio side of things with OLED, one thing that's interesting is there were a couple folks that were doing this where now they're setting transducers behind the OLED display, and because of the way the OLED works, they're actually vibrating the OLED display, and the screen itself, the OLED screen, the part that shows the picture, the part that lights up with the colors, that is now the speaker. They're using that as a transducer. I did not get to hear it.
Well, it sounds like they're pushing really to get these displays as thin as possible and not take up space with speakers on the side, so that could be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there's two ways to do that. I took some photos of the Sony set. The Sony set actually has a little kickstand, like a photo that you'd set on a mantle. You got a little photograph, and you kick the little kickstand out and lean it back. That's actually what they look like. And what they did is they moved all the inputs, they moved all the electronics into the kickstand. So the panel looks thin, but there's this sort of breakout box approach. And I think there's another company that was doing it, the more traditional breakout box connected via a cable, but that's what we're going to see, where the displays themselves are super duper thin, and instead you're going to need a separate box with some electronics in it to drive the display.
So we're eventually going to get the TVs like you saw in Back to the Future, where they're just hanging on a wall like it's a picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's already what they're trying to do with this little kickstand. They're trying to make it look like a photo. It's cool. I wish I could afford a 100-inch OLED. So maybe someday I'll be able to. Maybe someday they'll be making them. But for right now, projection, if you're looking for size, projection is still the main name in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. If you're going to go over 60 inches, it's time to consider a front projection system.
Yeah. And the big news in projection is we're seeing a lot more of these short throw projectors. And so I'll try to find a photo up here, but if you can imagine it, right now I've got my projection screen at the front of the room. I have my projector hanging from the ceiling about 14 feet away, and the light travels those 14 feet. The way short throw projectors work is you usually sit them below your screen. So imagine where you might put a center channel speaker. That's where your projector goes, and it actually shoots up. So this could be as close as 6 inches away from your screen, and it shoots up into this giant 100-inch projection image. And so what this does is, again, it lowers the installation barrier. For me, I wanted to keep things nice and clean, so I hired somebody to come out, crawl through the fiberglass in my attic, and run a bunch of HDMI cables and power and everything else. But now this is going to be a projector that throws up a 100-inch screen. It looked fantastic. I saw it in the Elite room. We got to learn more about Elite screens, by the way. We'll talk more about them later. Really great screens at a really inexpensive price. But one of the short throw projectors that they had up was sitting there just like a sound bar. It's going to get to the point that if you can set up a sound bar, you can set up a projector to get a 100-inch projected screen at the front of your room. And because it's at the front, you don't have to worry about people walking in front of it.
That's really unbelievable, man. I mean, honestly, the thing that stops people from doing front projection is the installation, the complexity of the installation. Are they also going to do it wirelessly, or do you still have to use an HDMI cable to plug into?
Well, if it's at the front of the room, I mean, I'm sure the technology's out there. Wireless HDMI technology is out there, but at that point, it won't really matter because most of us have our electronics at the front of the room anyway. You're going to need to power it somehow, so you're going to have at least a cord running from the wall. But the whole idea being that if it's as simple to set up as a sound bar, and you know what, at a certain point, you hook up a Chromecast to it. If you're really concerned about keeping it as low impact, as easy as possible, either hook up a Chromecast or eventually they build it with Chromecast technology built into it. And now there's one power cable running to your projector. Your projector's getting your source wirelessly through your Wi-Fi network at home. It's the type of thing you could pull up to anybody's house, throw it on a table in front of a white wall, and you'd have everything there 6 inches from the wall.
Nice. That's awesome. So what else did you want to talk about? You said you something about Elite screens, or was there
Yeah,
anything else in
so
projector?
I'll pontificate a little bit on projection. So I went up to a company called Elite, and they actually had two different companies. One was more the custom installer, one was the more the consumer-facing side. And so I'm not trying to put them on blast when I say this, but this is what happened. I went up to Elite and I asked them where people see their screens because I just stopped by. I hadn't planned on it. Their name rang a bell, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, we're at these." End-to-end retailers, I forget what they called. And I said, wait a minute, have I seen you on Amazon? And they paused. They didn't want to answer that. And the reason why, and after they kind of admitted, they're like, yeah, we're on Amazon. The reason why they finally, they said they didn't want to admit it is because some people get real snobbish about that. They think that if you're buying a projection screen off of Amazon, it can't possibly be any good. And I'm calling BS on that. And anybody that goes in with that attitude saying there's no good stuff on Amazon hasn't looked at some of these retailers. You could buy KEF LS50s. I don't know how many publications have called that one of the speakers of the year. You can buy those on Amazon all day long. So why shouldn't you buy a projection screen on Amazon?
Well, that's the way the market's going. I mean, you're getting a lot of these companies that are not only selling direct from their own websites, but they're selling through an Amazon channel. So yeah, that's old thinking. So it's time to, get with the program. Everybody's selling online, and they're hopefully selling on Amazon if they're successful.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want prime shipping on a projection screen? And what they had on display looked fantastic. They had sort of more traditional screens. They also had ambient light rejecting screens, which I got to look into getting an ambient light rejecting screen in my room. I'm using a painted screen right now. It's a special formulation that has some of those properties of ambient light rejection, but it's not nearly as good as what real manufacturers can do. And what I was seeing in the room, they had all the hotel lights on, so crappy hotel lights. And yeah, they were showing some animated footage. We know how forgiving animation is. It's not as tough to reproduce in a less than ideal situation, but it still looked really good. And so they were showing motorized screens for like $1,000 and change at 100 inches. They were showing fixed screens at $700 at over 100 inches. And there's less expensive versions that are out there. Obviously, they're not bringing their total bottom basement. But if you've been saying to yourself, boy, I don't know if I can get into a projection, that's really expensive, you can get fantastic projectors for $700, $800. You can get fantastic screens for $400 or $500. For the price of that 60-inch 4K LED, you have an equally, if not much more impressive, 100-inch 1080 screen, 100-inch 1080 projection system that's going to wow way more people than, hey, I've got a couple thousand extra pixels up front.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And bigger is always better when it comes to displays. So if you can get the biggest display in your room that you can, front projection is the way to go for sure.
Yep. So I'm going to research them more, but if you're in the market for a projection screen, I saw the Elite screens firsthand. Get them shipped to you Amazon Prime. Don't listen to these old snobs who are afraid to change. Look at everything that's out there, even if it's not in your super hi-fi shop.
Awesome. Well, Marshall, I think you covered some good grounds here. Unless you have anything else that's really outstanding, I think we could wrap this show up here.
I have only one more thing, and I'll be quick about it. This is as much of a public service as anything. Etymotic, they do all sorts of headphones, but one of the first places that I heard them, get yourself some musicians' earplugs. These are their new ones. The old Etymotics, they have this triple flange. They have a little thing that sticks out the back. What they've done is they've shrunk that little part that sticks out, so by the time you put these in, they are invisible in your ear. I wore them to a concert over the weekend, and what's great about them is if you're used to the foam earplugs, I've got it in now, you can barely see it. If you're used to the foam earplugs, they kill the high frequencies, all they leave is the low frequencies, and it makes your concerts sound terrible. This is just like turning down the volume. That's all it is. So if you're still going out to live music, or if you're in noisy situations, if you're in a busy work environment, if you're riding in an airplane, I wear these things on the airplane all the time. I can still have conversations with the people next to me. I can still hear the flight attendants as they're coming through. I can still hear the announcements, but it just turns down the sound. And if you're out there spending, wondering if you're going to spend thousands of dollars on speakers and subwoofers, but you're not spending $20 on a set of musicians' earphones like the Etymotic, and I think these are the ER20XS if I remember. Take $20 out of your pocket, go to Amazon, they'll be at your house in 2 days if you have Prime, and you'll be a good friend to your hearing if you do this. Get yourself some musicians' earplugs.
And you can't stress that enough, Marshall, because I've been through many concerts recently. I went to a Pink Floyd concert, a tribute band, and just a couple other concerts over the last 6 months. Beatles concert. They're so freaking loud now. And if you don't have any type of hearing protection, you're doing yourself a disservice when you go home and you try to listen to your hi-fi system and you've lost hearing as a result. So,
Yep.
and the fact that you're telling us that these musician earplugs, they don't just drown out the highs, but they just lower the sound.
No.
You could still enjoy the show, but instead of listening to it at a sustained level of 115 dB, it'll be down to maybe 90 dB, which is not going to cause you permanent hearing loss for 2 hours.
I enjoy it more because I can understand the lyrics better. My ears aren't ringing afterwards. You know, the first time I found Etymotic, I was looking for musicians' earplugs. I got a pair. They were about $15 at the time, and I loved them so much I bought 5 more pair. I gave them to my parents. I gave them to Megan. I was giving them away to friends. I had a friend's mother was in town, and she was complaining about the noise on the airplane. I had 1 pair from these 5 left, and I went and I grabbed them. I gave them to her, and I said, "Use these. They will change your life." So yes, be a friend to your hearing.
Yep. Can't stress that enough, guys. Well, Marshall, thanks again for going to Vegas and to be in our away mission while I couldn't go. Appreciate all the coverage you did, all the new products, and we're going to be lining up a lot of reviews this year, guys, on stuff that we're talking about. So stay tuned on YouTube and stay tuned to the Audioholics editorial site. And if you like this video, click a thumb up on it. Give us some comments. Tell us what you're looking for. What do you want us to cover in 2017? And what do you want us to have Marshall do? Because we got to get him back on camera more and do some more videos. I'm going to put him on the spot.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I need. Give me some topics. You know, I don't have the electrical engineering chops as some of the other folks at Audioholics. Give me something that you want to hear my perspective on. Tell me which of these things at CES you want me to deep dive into. You want me to talk about Bluetooth speakers? I use those all day long. I don't know. Give me some direction, people. Tell me what's up.
Sounds great. Well, guys, until next time, keep listening.